Thank you, sir. For those of you who are tweeting or following the event, feel free to do so with the hashtag DigiBAP. The hashtags are also on the Panaflex, on the stage behind me. Please do use the hashtag so we can accumulate and aggregate all the content that's out there. In addition to insights from the private sector, it's also extremely pertinent and relevant, at least at this point, to get perspective from the regulator. And we're very fortunate to have both perspectives from regulators from the banking sector as well as the PTA. First, I'd like to invite our guest of honor, Dr. Syed Ismail Shah, who's the chairman of the Pakistan Telecommunications Authority. Dr. Saab? Just one note, I'm a stickler for applause, so the volume of applause must reflect how many people are in this audience. Come on, much better.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Irfan Ali Saab, Shabbar Saab, Nadeem Saab, Irfan Wahab Saab, the organizers of this event, TerraBiz. You have chosen a topic which is very important for all of us. I can only talk about the first two words of both the names that you have, the digital and the mobile, and I'll leave the other two to the rest of the speakers. But before I talk about that, all these conferences also provide you with an opportunity. And what is that opportunity? Now that I'm done with the most difficult part, where is the naming part, and usually I forget to thank all the people, let's move on to the networking part. So how many of you have actually met a person here for the first time? Okay, so we still don't have a significant number. So let's start with something. Can you please, all of you, stand up and meet a person that you have not met and then come back to your seat? Okay. Okay, that's enough. Now we can take seats. Okay, please. We can have this networking later on in the tea break. Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much. One other thing about technology is that you see this clicker, the slide changer. The sensor is at the laptop, so you have to point it here, not to the screen. So that's how it will work. Okay, because the sensor of this clicker is there with the laptop. Okay, so basically, Rabia talked about the regulators. And we are very fortunate in this respect that at least from the mobile banking, digital banking point of view, mobile banking point of view, the two regulators are working very closely with each other. The State Bank of Pakistan and Pakistan Telecommunication Authority. Can you hear me well? Okay. Are working very closely with each other, and this is very good thing that is happening in Pakistan. And later in my slides, I'll show you that actually we need all this collaboration in many other areas also. What I'm going to do is mainly talk about, in the beginning, talk about what's happening, what has happened in Pakistan from the point of view of connectivity, which is broadband connectivity now. And even with the simple connectivity, we were able to have not only the voice communication, but mobile banking also. But with the broadband connectivity, with the connectivity to the internet, I think the whole digital ecosystem will evolve into something that is still unknown to many of us, but we have some idea of how things may work out. And these ideas are also known by the name of the fourth industrial revolution. So let me just give you a brief idea of what has happened in Pakistan. So most of you are the users of this mobile technology. I believe no one in this room would not have a mobile phone, and I believe all of you would have a smartphone, the crowd that I see here. But if you look at the overall voice communication in Pakistan, we have done very well in that in the past, and this is the tele density and the jump that you see in 2014. The jump, the reduction in the tele density is because of the biometric verification of SIMs. So that was something very difficult to do, but then that has given rise to many opportunities also, because now we have an identity. All the SIMs are biometrically verified, and there are so many things that we can do now, and some of the initiatives I am going to talk about also. So what has happened beside this availability? You see most of Pakistan is covered. In fact, about close to 90% of the population is covered. The area coverage, on the other hand, needs improvement, and we are working on that. But beside that, there are things that go at the back end of the technology, which is the connectivity of the whole country, that is now through the fiber optic cable. We also have submarine cables that is connecting us to the rest of the world. But what has changed now in the recent years, I would say the last 3 years? Well, in the last 3 years, what has happened is that we have moved into the era of mobile broadband. Previously, we were just having the voice communication, but right now we are into the era of mobile broadband, starting with the spectrum auction, and then we have done a few more. But we are also looking at many other technologies that will work, that will support this revolution of moving towards broadband or access to the internet. And just to give you an idea of what has happened in Pakistan in terms of numbers, because many of you play with numbers, many of the audience sitting here. So 3 years ago in this month, we had 0 mobile broadband subscribers, or rather I would say, to qualify, to be technically correct, 0 3G and LTE or 4G subscribers. Right now we have 39.9 million as of March 31st, 2017. What was the situation? How many broadband users we had before that? Not the mobile broadband, but the fixed ones, the DSL, then the fiber to the home, and the fixed wireless. They were only 3.79 million. And this was the data usage before that, which was less than 2,000 terabytes a month, which has now crossed 65,000 terabytes. So this is now the data usage per month that is happening in Pakistan, and the international bandwidth also has jumped from close to 200 gigabits per second to about 750 gigabits per second, very soon to cross a terabits per second, and then I think in the next year it will double also. This is now the situation. The total number of broadband subscribers that we have are 42.36 million. Out of it, as you can see, about 40 million are from mobile broadband. And this is how we are doing as far as the region is concerned, and you can see that although we started out late, but we are doing reasonably well, although there is a lot to be done. We cannot be complacent. There is a lot to be done. Mobile broadband is not the only thing that we need to have as far as connectivity is concerned. We need to have the fixed one, and a reliable broadband connectivity can only be through fiber to the home or fiber to the curb technologies. Similarly, for connectivity of the rural areas, we have plans. The government is spending the Universal Service Fund on connecting all the unconnected people, or at least providing them with an opportunity to connect, and hopefully by 2019 in all areas of Pakistan, barring probably some areas in FATA, we would have at least one operator providing broadband connectivity. And in the Universal Service Fund now, it is not just plain voice connectivity, it is data also. Okay, so now this is the important part of the presentation. Rabia said that we have the regulators sitting here, actually 2 regulators, PTA, Pakistan Telecommunication Authority, and the State Bank of Pakistan. In fact, in our case, actually, we are trying to learn how not to regulate. So it is a difficult thing, because traditionally we have been regulating the telecom sector. We had operators coming in, getting a license, and there were license conditions they had to follow. If they don't, then we will fine them or issue them show cause notices. But things have changed now. There are service providers who are not our licensees, because once you are on the internet, you may have heard this word over the top, usually used for WhatsApp and these kind of application. But in fact, once you are on the internet, everything is over the top and they are not regulated. And we are over regulating our telecom operators just because they have a license from us. Those who don't, we don't regulate them, which is fine, but the thing is that we need to stop or reduce the regulation on our current operators also, the licensees also. So, as the generation, as we talk about the technology 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G and 5G, there are, and this is by the way true for all regulators, but specifically for the ICT, Information Communication Technology regulator. I do not consider myself as a telecom regulator anymore. We are into the area of ICTs, Information Communication Technologies, and most of the issues that we are dealing with now are not telecom related, they are generally internet related, I would say, or ICT related. So, if you go over and if you look at these the list, we are actually into the fifth, we have to be into the fifth generation regulations now, and fortunately in some respect we are, because if you look at the fifth generation regulators, this is about collaborative regulation. That is what we are doing, at least in the financial sector, and we would like to do it in all the other sectors also. Why? Because digital technologies can help not only in banking, but it can also help in health, it can help in education, agriculture, media and so on. So, there are two things that are going to happen and are happening in the rest of the world. For example, in Singapore, the ICT and media regulatory authorities, they merged. So, there will be convergence, it is already happening in many countries, we have convergence, and then collaboration. Some technologies will, some of the areas will converge, media is one of them, media, spectrum, telecom, ICTs, all these things, technologies will merge, will converge and will become just one, because the best way to deliver media or multimedia is the ICT, internet for that matter. Of course, different forms of internet, I mean the technology, underlying technology can be different, but it will be the IP based networks. But you cannot just converge everything, like State Bank cannot converge with PTA. So, we have to then collaborate in that. Similarly, the health regulator, the education regulator, it cannot just, PTA just cannot merge with everything. So, in that case we would need to have collaboration, and they will take the lead. Let us say the financial regulator will take the lead, or the financial sector will take the lead, and we will help them, we will collaborate with them. Similarly, in health, education and agriculture and so on. So, as far as we are concerned, we are now not just the regulator, although our name still says telecommunication, Pakistan Telecommunication Authority, but I think we will suggest a different name and we can ask for your help also. But I would just not even call it a regulator anymore, maybe Pakistan ICT Facilitator Authority, or whatever name that we can come up with. But look at what is happening now, the broadband or internet is being used for everything, and I have just listed, I have a partial list. Digital financial inclusion is one, but then you have health, agriculture, women empowerment, entertainment, digital citizenship, all these other internet of things and connected communities, all these are concepts that 3 years ago we just used to hear about them, but they are right now, they are here. There are so many things that are happening in Pakistan in all these areas. Just to give you an example, we as PTA, although we are a government department, but we have implemented a policy for women empowerment, many different ways of women empowerment, like daycare center and pick and drop, but we have allowed our female employees to work from home 1 day a week. So, these are the new things that are going to happen. The work environment will change. Similarly, we are working with persons with disabilities. We have included them in the ICT policy Have you ever thought how a person with visual impairment can access the internet, which is, by the way, in many countries a fundamental right? There has to be some software which can actually read out the page for them, preferably in the local languages. So, all these things we are trying to incorporate in the policies and support with different activities around that. I mentioned, and this is from the World Economic Forum, this cyber physical system which we are dealing with, which is the internet, and around that you have all these activities. And one example, for example, of a cyber physical system would be Careem or Uber. How many of you have used Careem or Uber in Karachi? So, that is an example of a cyber physical system, although it is a little different, but it does incorporate the financial part. The payment has to be dealt with either through credit card or cash or any other mobile payments. But think of this concept and try to extend it in your mind, let us say to driverless cars, and even without driverless cars. Let us say it can eventually eliminate the need of owning a transportation. So, this will have impacts on the traffic, this will have impact on the economy, of course, and it will also have an impact on the environment. And that is a shared economy, example of a shared economy system, but there are so many other technologies that are there. Now, if you look at Uber, did they invent a new technology? No, they just use Google Maps, they used the GPS receiver in your smartphone and wrote some software, and now you have an application that is running. Similar things will happen in for example, in mobile banking. People think that it has to do something like your account is somehow in the mobile. Actually, it is not. You are just using your mobile phone to access your bank account. And by the way, mobile bank account is not only for the poor, it is for everyone to use. And that is what we need to actually work towards. Once we have more people, and that is also the vision of the national, the government also, from the point of view of the national financial inclusion. Again, we are partnering with State Bank for the Asan mobile account, where the vision is that we will have at least, we will have 50% of the adult population to have a bank account by 2020, and that is the digital, that is part of the digital financial inclusion. But they need to see a value, they need to see, okay, this is something that is going to benefit us. Like I just took a survey, why did you use Uber? Because it gave you some value. Similarly, in everything that we do, why would people like to go for digital or e-education or e-health? There has to be either that facility is not there, or they need to see a value in there. Talking about the fourth industrial revolution and the first three, which took almost like hundreds of years, this one would not take that much time. But this will be a very different kind of a revolution. This will be a revolution which will actually may change the social fabric. It may change, it will also change the way, for example, we work. It will also change some profession very profoundly. For example, the profession of medical practitioners may change. Artificial intelligence may take over the role of a doctor. The robots may take the role of a surgeon. Similarly, artificial intelligence may also take the role of lawyers. As according to the World Economic Forum, still the biggest, from the technology point of view, the biggest role that is going, that the technology that will have the biggest role is still the mobile internet and cloud computing. Cloud is that you are saving data on your internet somewhere, like the Gmail that you have. You can access it anywhere you want, but this will have 34% role. But there are so many other things that are also of importance, and one of them is big data analytics that you can use in your banking for credit worthiness and so many other things. Similarly, you can see the crowdsourcing, shared economy, artificial intelligence, 3D printing and biotechnology and so on. So, these are all the technologies that are going to be, these and probably a few more are going to be part of the fourth industrial revolution. And as you can see, all these things will also revolve around some kind of payment mechanisms, because eventually people are going to be paid, and I believe the digital and mobile banking is a solution to that. Our way of lives are changing. If you see, probably, I mean, as Rabia mentioned, you have a hashtag now. People are advertising this event. not in a newspaper, on the internet, and many people are following that. You can have your own TV channel, she has one, and you can even have your YouTube channel, and so on. So, things are changing very, very drastically, and what we need to do to have all these, to be part of the positive change, is to be prepared for it, to prepare the workforce, to prepare the country, otherwise we would be left behind. There are certain negative aspects of the technology also, which usually gets highlighted in the media and other places. Of course, when television came in, it changed the social fabric, there were certain negative aspects to it. But personally, I believe it is the use of technology, and that is why we as a nation need to think how can we use all these technologies in a positive manner. This is my, I believe, the second last slide. This is very important that we are with the rest of the world. The United Nations they have come up, all the countries have come up with 17 sustainable development goals, and as technologist, a person from technology, what I am looking into is how can, for example, we have no poverty using some technology, how can we create jobs, for example, how can we have zero hunger using some technology where all the food that is otherwise wasted goes to the right people, similarly quality education and so on. So, all the people that are sitting in this audience, I will leave this presentation with you. I would like you to think about these 17 goals, and then there are 162 targets, because this is how the country's performance would be measured in the future. These are to be met by 2030. Finally, what are we trying to do? As I said, we are going towards a collaborative, consultative approach, and as PTA, I can tell you that when I talk about collaboration and consultation, it is not consultation with the government departments only, it is with everyone, with public, with private sector. For example, if today I am on this side of the table, tomorrow I may be on the other, and similarly you may be here. So, all of us are here to work for the betterment of the humanity. No matter where we are, we have to continue doing our role, and the digital ecosystem is something that we have to take into account. From our operators' point of view, now they are becoming digital service providers, and yesterday Telenor, for example, got this award for one of the innovative telecom company, and it was not based on, for example, the voice services that they give. It was about the initiatives that they have taken to become a digital service provider. And finally, what we need is awareness. All of us talk about, I mean, recently you may have heard this issue with social media and all, but I think all of us are responsible when it comes to internet. It cannot be, the issues related to internet cannot be just be dealt by government or PTA. These are issues that we as a nation, as a humanity need to deal with. There are always going to be people who will try to harm others, but it does not mean that you stop the progress that we can have with the use of internet. Internet is the printing press of the past, like printing press was at that time in the first or second industrial revolution. At the time of the first industrial revolution, internet is now part of this industrial revolution. So, I thank you all. These are my email addresses, and I am here for the whole day. My flight is at 7, so I will come attend the whole conference, and if there are anything that you like to discuss, please let me know. Okay, thank you very much.